Hello, testing. Can people hear me? Need to figure out how to get the chat. Ugh. Okay. Loud and clear. Hopefully it's not too bad. This is still my old, very old setup from way back. Well, sort of. I think. I'm not really sure. How's the volume? Gotta do something real quick. Oh, it's the thumbnail's wrong. Oh well, I don't give a shit about the thumbnail. I'm gonna add everyone on the Spark server again. Yes. Are you done this time? Done about what? If you mean the game, XF is finished. It's done. Moving on. I'm just waiting for people to arrive so I can just give them a heads up. Oh, fuck. Had everything completed on this file except for free roam. It's just me. It's just me by myself. Hopefully everyone can hear it. Let's see who's in here. Yeah, that's me moving my mouse. It just does this. Yes, I am alone this time. My cat is in my lap. You might be able to hear it. What the hell? Oh, do I have other characters unlocked? Oh, I got a little lazy with the story kestrel. It's just this. This is the story kestrel. I'm pressing up and down. You might be able to see from Shell. Just changing it. And this time you don't unlock it. It's just there. But so I think in this file I haven't customized it. This is the Steam version of the game, obviously. So things look a little off because the save file in my I don't know, the Steam version is different than the save file that I have for the private testing builds that I use. No, but I do have the Never Centurion. Yes. My cat is getting on the way of the keyboard. I'm really glad about some Bluetooth keyboards. You can just turn them off with a like a switch in the back. Because when he tries to get on top of the keyboard, it can just turn it off. Yes, all the other colors have different names because it was virtual to add, so. And I added it based on. I mean, yeah, Survivor is supposed to be American, so all the vehicles are themed after America. Can't call this the NASA Centauri, so national it is. I'm actually somewhat disappointed on the alt colors I added for the crosswinds. I could have done a lot better job, but yeah, this brown is just nothing. The dark winds is kind of cool because replacing the blue with black looks nice, but otherwise, I don't think I did a good job at that one. What do you, let's see, will there be an XF plush campaign? Probably not. The reason for that being that I just don't think XF is big enough, it's popular enough to really sell. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, for some of the plush campaigns, I had to buy a bunch of them myself. So, like basically, it went like this. You have a limited, amount of plushies that you can sell. That you need to sell in order for them to get produced, right? So what happens is that it sells up to a point, like let's say 100. So what I did is that I would have to buy 100 plushies, and then suddenly it starts selling well again because it's gonna get produced. Also, in this controller, you might notice sometimes the throttle just goes out by itself because, yeah, this is an Xbox Elite controller, by the way. It's a really expensive one. I thought it would be good. It's not. The battery lasts long though, so that's good. But basically, sometimes the A button just stops working. Let me see. See more questions. What do you think about designing a racing game now you finished XF? This is that's a rabbit hole regarding racing games. Like, there's so many thoughts I have about it. The first thing is that, yeah, no one really cares about racing games anymore. They are what I would say is a side genre because you could race basically anything. And think about the real life counterpart. I have watched sports. Like, I've watched soccer matches. I understand the drama of a soccer match. Right? There is a drama to watch ongoing before your eyes. And there's controversy, there is people getting mad and yelling. It's a whole thing. But for racing, it's kind of the opposite, especially in like Formula One or something like that. I do believe there is pilot drama, but that's background. The actual racing itself is fairly clean. Most of the time anyways, especially since I believe they do like 100 laps or something like that. And most racing is fairly clean, so it's just, I think racing as a sport is just something that's on the down low, generally. And I just don't. I mean, cars are also a bit on the down low. I mean, I played recently. I played the new Forza game that came out, and one thing that I do notice happening more and more is that the cars that people drive in real life are just not in those games. I mean, sure, you can have a 90 sports car. You can have all the 90 sports cars that you want. You can have all the modern sports cars, like a Civic Type R or something like that. But you're never getting the base model Civic. You're never getting, I was playing Forza, and at some point they tell you that they're going to see a Honda City. And I'm like, oh, I've seen a Honda City. I've seen them in real life. They're kind of cute little cars. And I'm not talking about the 90s version, which is what showed up in the game. It's they have a really old, like, K car. And I'm like, oh, that's not the Honda City I know. Well, the Honda City I know is like a... Sorry, my voice is a little... I've just woken up a few hours ago. But the Honda City that I know is basically a stripped down Civic. like a tiny Civic that people can buy. It's like the Nissan Versa versus the Nissan Altima. It's kind of like that. It's like a smaller car, less powerful, cheaper. You don't have that in Forza. You know, you just have the Legends, of which there are many because there's many, many, many cars. So I don't think people are all that interested in cars anymore, and even then, the cars that exist in the games are mostly just the fantasy cars. It's not what they see in real life. I think even like I was playing it, and they didn't even have like they had the newest Corvette, but they didn't have the old Corvettes, which are like staples. Like, what are you doing? Where are the old Corvettes? Like the classics, not just the classics, just regular Corvettes. Not the like the by old I mean like the 2000s Corvette. And like one of the ones that still had pop-up headlights. Pop-up headlights are still cool. But anyways, I start to believe that racing games are a side genre. They're a thing that can be done in anything. You can race in any video game. You can race in Pokemon against other people. Pretty sure there's speedrunner racers of Pokemon. And when you make a game that is entirely about racing, suddenly people are asking, well, why can't you get out of your car? It was primarily one of the reasons why the story mode of XF is what it is. I'm currently just playing arcade mode because I don't want to think. I'm mostly just trying to speak. I've played and beta tested arcade mode in XF like so many times that I can just talk while playing. But yeah, I also don't want to spoil the story. But yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, there was also another point I wanted to bring up. It's not just that it's a side genre. It's it's like people don't really care. And then I have this game where it's like in the future and there's a lot of speed, but people don't want to play games like these. I don't think they want to. I still remember as a kid looking at a game like F-Zero and thinking it was cringe, because I was interested in cars, not in the pilots. I ended up coming through and liking some characters, but I still don't like all the characters. I think some of the characters in F-Zero still are pretty cringe. But I mean, everyone likes Captain Falcon now. Like, he is a staple now, especially after Smash Brothers, where they gave him a lot of character. And he did have a lot of character in GX as well, just from his little weird cutscenes. But still. Anyways, I should probably look into the chat for more questions. It's a bit of a conspiracy. Modern racing games are meant to make future customers, which is why they feature new shit all the time. I mean, I don't really care. I don't know. I don't really understand how car licensing works. I don't really get it. But whatever cars the manufacturer decides to license to a racing game, that's on them, and I really don't know. Like, when I play a racing game, often I don't actually know if it's like, there's probably someone in the team that does like backroom deals to get access to those cars, right? Like, there's someone in there who's an expert at doing negotiations, so a Porsche will show up in a game, or they have the rights to a 911 or something like that. You know, there were things back in the day where like Need for Speed had an exclusivity with Porsche, and then they proceeded to make several games that didn't have Porsches, which were some of their best. I'm not a fan of Porsches; they're kind of ugly, except for a few. There's some Porsches that look great. So yeah, the chat is still moving. I should put it in the live chat. Why is it top chat by default? Woolspark 4B in development. Guys, give me some time. game's barely over. There's like I'm keeping watch like a hawk for major glitches. The minor stuff I probably won't be fixing it, but because I don't want to fix what's broken. Like sometimes fixing bugs creates new bugs. That's the thing I try to avoid. But you know, there's still at least one patch coming, which is the credits music. After that, there probably won't be any more patches. Any DLC plans for XF? Not at all. There's no room in the story, and all it could do is more tracks, but it's just... Someone said the DLC seems silly. No, it's not. It's not silly because the game is already out, because it's just out. No, it's silly because XF isn't doing too well. Not many people want to play it. And it has been like that since the start. It was really hard working on this game because. So I guess I just should go with the story on that one. XF was meant to be it was meant to be a game where, yes, you had all this tracks and stuff like that. You had all this the arcade mode that you could play through, but the hook was its story mode and its career progression. At first, I was actually thinking of I should give you like cars to choose from, right? Before I ended up compromising and being like, it's going to be a lot of work to just make 3 unique cars for you to start with and choose. Even being able to buy new cars was a bit of a stretch as well. So you have to customize all those cars. But then, as I started making the story was supposed to be a type of game where your choices would make a difference. There's a remnant of this. If you talk to DigiGirl, which is something I see people missing, they will go to the proving grounds. They will talk to DigiGirl once, and then they will see that she repeats her dialogue after you talk to her once, and they won't talk to her ever again. I've seen people doing this, and it's really unfortunate. I'm not sure exactly what I could have done better. I mean, I think I could have maybe moved her around or have had her doing a different animation or something like that. That maybe could have helped, but that was again, it's also more work on top of everything that's already in there. But regardless, she's in there again, and if you keep talking to her, you can get races with her. Special races that only show up in the months of December and January. Then you can race her, and if you attack her and successfully hit her, which yes, you can attack. There's a side attack and stuff like that. Those are ended up being sort of superfluous features that if I were to make like a new XF, I probably wouldn't include a combat system at all. But regardless, if you do that, she will comment on it. She replied to it. Right? There was I made a whole system of flags and things of that sort where you could raise a character's opinion of you. Essentially, what I was trying to do is that I was trying to do this like game where if you were rude or bad to certain racers, they would start attacking you in races. And not only that, but the story would go into plenty of different directions. Even Shell himself would have an opinion of you as the human. So there was a lot to it. It was incredibly ambitious. But as I started working on it, as I worked on those first 2 months, I realized, fuck, this is going to be an insane amount of work. It's really difficult to pull it off. It requires an immense amount of testing to make sure that everything actually works together, to make sure that everything, like things lead to the exact same consequences every time if you make certain choices and whatnot. And I had a bit of a breakdown at that point. I'm making a game that very few people want to play. So why should I put in all this effort? So I took in all the ideas for the good route. The let's say, the true ending, the best one. And I made that the final game. That's why characters even stop appearing on the Proving Grounds after a while. That was the idea. The game was supposed to be a lot more ambitious than it was, and you can still see remnants of it, but it's, unfortunately, I had to scale it back. Like, the story mode of XF was scaling back after scaling back after scaling back. And even then, XF is still the longest and largest game I've ever made. It still is. I even had at first, walking around wasn't going to be the only thing they did in the Proving Grounds. One of the early ideas too was that you're actually meant to drive around to it instead of a world map. But it wouldn't have been the same as driving around in the overworld. It would be like the car shifts into a civilian mode where you're limited to a certain speed so you can drive normally. And you can go in highways and stuff like that. But then I realized, oh my god, I'm going to have to model all of that. Like, how long is this game's gonna take to get finished? And it took a long time, a very long time. Like, just the story mode was at least how much? Like, I think the actual tracks probably only took a year and a half, and the rest was all story mode. This game took 4 years to get made, which is, to me, is a very long time, because my turnover for games is to release a game every 3 years. That's what I want to do, because this is, at the end of the day, this is my job. I am here to make money and make games. I have to release something good and make money. It's not just about making money, but it's also like I have to make it good. So, eventually you have to release it. I did my best with XF. Obviously, you might not think it's good, but that's fine. So, what's next? What's next after XF? Everyone's asking that. And I think people are a lot more excited about what's next than XF. It's funny to think of. Let me see. If anyone's asked the question and it went unanswered, just feel free to ask it again so I can actually see it. The credits should give you a clue to what's next. Well, without spoiling it, it isn't. It's just referencing Spark 1. When that little bit in the credits is actually from Chrono Adventure. And it's the same exact sprite from the ending of that game. So it was a reference to Chrono Adventure, really, because Chrono Adventure advertised Spark 1 as next time. So technically, this game being a prequel to the Spark series in the timeline, it's advertising Spark 1. But anyways, let's see. Someone asked something. What's the tip for making Sonic style-inspired games? Do I have a tip for that? You gotta have a sense for gameplay. You have to understand basic game design principles and, I don't know, play the game yourself, and if it feels like it controls good, go with that. And make sure to really, really learn 3D modeling, because level design is incredibly important, and in the world of 3D games, level design is 3D modeling. You can't just get someone else to make a level for you. Those are one of the hardest parts, even harder than making a character. You can get someone to make you a character easy. Plenty of character modelers out there, and they might not even ask you for that much money. But the levels themselves, there's probably nobody out there that you can commission for levels. You got to make them yourself. And that, I just think if you want to make any sort of platformer, especially a hard one like a Sonic style high speed platformer, it just takes a lot of just general game design knowledge. General. Try to... Have you played any of Neon Falcom games? I don't know what that is. Please enlighten me. Are you developing it alone at this game? Yes, pretty much all my games are developed them by myself with commissions. That's how I make things. After learning what Saber did to Redout 2, I'd not want to find out that would turn out. What? Sorry, I read things really badly. I'm not good at reading. Are any other 3 people from the XF be playable in XF, huh? If someone were to make mods for XF, would that person need the source code or Unity tools? I'm not sure how the mods are made. You can make mods if you want, but it's not it's not my area of expertise. Brought XF, doing my best to play it despite me not having the reaction time needed and my computer running at like 20 FPS slow. So I'm sorry for that. This game is the heaviest game I've ever made. I'm not really sure why it's so heavy. The 30 racers being in the race is partially the reason, but it seems like even then it's still pretty heavy. I'm not still exactly sure why. I've done my absolute best to optimize the vehicle physics as best as I could. They're actually fairly simple, code-wise at least, but still. Will Spark 4 be the last adaptation? Adaptation of what? I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been a fan of your work since the original Spark. When it comes to how you write or design characters, do you have any specific sources of inspiration? I used to, sort of. I'm not really sure. Like Spark himself is a bit of a mix of a lot of things. I think I underestimate how much the game Ristar for the Sega Genesis had an influence on Spark's character design, but it certainly did. Aside from that, I take inspirations from just way too many things. I think because people see, well, Spark is like a high-speed platformer, people assume I'm taking inspiration from the Sonic series, and there is some, but the inspirations for the Spark series come from many different sources of media, just generally a lot of different stuff that you may never think would ever relate to something like that, but it does. But anyways, let's check. What's the formula for the interaction between Aero and top speed? Can you share the formula on Discord? There is no formula. So there is a graph, which is just a curve in game, which is a drag curve. Essentially, how I believe that's how it works. At least there's a drag curve, essentially how fast you're going, and the amount of drag being applied to the vehicle. And Aero just means that less drag is being applied to the vehicle. I believe it's just a multiplier on that. It's a curve, so it was custom designed by me. So it's not, because I don't know exactly what a drag formula would be, and that curve does depend on the atmospheric pressure too. But not necessarily. Like I didn't take atmospheric gases into consideration. Like I mean, in the Saturn Cup, you're running into a hydrogen atmosphere. I'm not actually sure what that would do if drag would be different in a hydrogen atmosphere. Or if it wouldn't really change anything because the pressure is the same. Oh, the planets also have different oxygen to nitrogen ratios too. But that's not taken into account. It's just pressure. Let me see. The chat's actually moving quite fast. I kind of wish I could make it a little bigger. Hold on. My comment that you read about Redout 2 was me replying someone about how I'm very wary of publishers trying to advertise games. Oh, they did a pay streamers to play the game low. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really know. Oh, I just got attacked. Yeah, so the thing is about marketing your games that I have no fucking clue. I have no fucking clue how to do it. And no, I'm not going with a publisher except for the console ports of the Switch port of Spark 3. It's handled by Frickzone Games, which I guess he is technically publishing it, so he's a publisher, but I mean he's also the developer of the port itself, so it's not exactly the same relationship. And I mean, yeah, he takes a cut from it because he's the one making the port, so that just makes sense. And I guess it's better to offload the work like that because I'm not interested in making console ports anymore. They are a major hassle and they get in the way of development time that could be spent on making a new game. So it would be best to just have someone else do it. Let me check the chat again. Like, will Spark 4 be the final game of the series? I don't know, I haven't made it yet. Please make Spark 4 be final. I don't know, I haven't made it. Just bought a copy. Any tips I should give to people when I host this at my gaming club tonight? How to recommend this game? Show them the game footage. Let them judge for themselves. And if you really like the game, recommend it. That's all. That's really all I can give. Also, I think this is probably a good thing if people did it. If you're in the chat right now and you played the game, you have it on Steam, leave it a review, positive or negative. It doesn't matter. Just give me your opinions. I believe, positive or negative, the game will probably do just fine. Like, I don't... There's gonna be some people that are just not gonna like it, and that's fine. But I think the game will probably be bumped up on Steam if it gets more reviews, even if quite a few are negative. Which is fine. I'm still fine with a positive or very positive rating. It'd be tough if the game reaches mixed, but I guess it is what it is. I hope I made a good game. But I'm asking for reviews, positive or negative. I'm asking for your thoughts. If you want to support this work, or if you want to not support it because you don't like it. Let me see. Was Hawkland always intended to be the final arcade mode track? I think this is a great finale, but I always wonder if there was a reason not the cup. Okay, yeah, so there were plans for something after Hawkland. But thankfully, Hawkland was good enough as a final track. And it was treated as a final track. Like, quite early on. Because Hawkland was... I had an idea for another track happening in the cup. Something more abstract, where you would fight single in the story mode. I've had an idea for a out of this world cup. That's what I called it, where it would have been just a special cup that takes place in weird environments that don't exist in real life. But I decided against it because the game has a lot of tracks. There is way too many of them. There's a lot of tracks in this game, and I thought I made enough content, so Hawkland is the final track. I thought it was good enough to be the final track, so it just became one. Let me show you. A quick question about the story. Is the human meant to represent us? Yeah, it's the human is the player. It's as if you from your computer chair were taken to the year 3000. That's it. It's supposed to just be you. That's exactly it. But you know, since I went for I collapsed the story into the good ending. You know, you're seeing the good ending human. If you made by then the human speaking by himself, but it's like if you've made all those choices that you do in the story, my idea would be that that's probably what you're thinking by the end of the game. Since, that'll be the idea. It's like if you made a bunch of good choices right up until now, you probably just continue making those good choices. So that's why the human just starts speaking by himself. Let's see. Have you tried making an RPG game? I kind of did it with this one, a little bit, but not anymore. No. How are the ports handled exactly? No, they're just done in Unity. Unity has support for all the consoles. So someone takes the files, I send it to them, and then they just change that version into a version for Unity, for different console. That's all. That's just how it is. Let me check. Spark 4 will be open world. I haven't made it. Maybe one day. There's I just want to stress that there are no Spark 4 spoilers. There is one piece of art that I have for that game that I've conceptualized. Otherwise, everything is just ideas in my head. What's gonna happen next for the Spark series, guys? Just give me time. I'm not even working on my next project yet. It's gonna be a bit. Or is there no trains in this game when the game's had trains? Well, there is one in a cutscene. Let's see. Still looking at the questions. A track creator would be cool. Yeah, so I did experiment with that. I did try making a track editor. Just the game itself is not a track editor. The tracks are modeled. But I thought that I could potentially make a track editor by using some of the tools that I use for the AI pathfinding. And no, it didn't work. Oh fuck, I missed the boost pad. My cat isn't here again. Okay. Now that you've done platformers and hack and slash, what other genres are excited to try? I want to make a fighter craft airplane game at some point. I want to also make a Souls-like at some point. It's a lot of things I want to make, but I don't have the time for two, and I just don't think it would do well. There's no spark for embossing side. There's no spark for embossing side. Yes. And there's no spark for outside of it either. Doesn't exist. Knowing the full game, I wonder if modding would allow for custom tracks. Yeah, technically, it shouldn't be all that hard. You'd have to manipulate the AI splines manually, but importing a model into the game is probably not too hard. The game engine was designed for just mesh collisions. Like the tracks are not splines. Like, okay, this is a thing that it's one of the reasons why RxF performs badly. It is actually a genuine reason. Because if you take something like F-Zero X on the N64, that game runs really well in that system, and it's how did they get 30 racers at those speeds in the N64? Well, it's simple. That game uses math for its collision. I mean, all of them do, but let me explain. I think even, what is it, Aero GPX probably does it as well? I'm not really sure. But essentially, the track itself is a mathematical spline. It uses math to create a procedural mesh, but you're not colliding with the mesh. You're colliding with an invisible line that exists in the world. And that's how the game is doing its thing. Like, all the AI, everyone, everything is colliding with that. That's why there's no bottom to that spline. There's no top either. Well, there's a top, but that's the surface. But that's about it. Regardless, it's like, yeah, if you want to collide with that, it's a lot cheaper to do that calculation, to check for the closest point, and then check if there's a collision or not. You can also using some math, get the tangential vector to it, and then figure out how wide it's going to be. And that's how you do it. Everything's procedural, basically. But that has its limits. You can't really do much in terms of other surfaces. What if you want some undulating hills, for example, or you want the track to have bumps in it or something like that? Well, you can only really do that by twisting the spline around or adding new track pieces with more math. With XF, the characters collide with meshes, so they collide with real, just genuine geometry. So I could make, for example, later on in the story, there's the Red Carnival, which has a little open world you can navigate through. And yeah, the game supports colliding with any mesh. Every car in the game is a generic character controller in that way. It's not just meant to work with a very specific track. It can work with any surface that it collides with. Obviously, if you make the environment really weird, it's going to behave very weird. And there are plenty of ways to get stuck. But, I mean, we're going to reach an area right now here in the stage. Right here in this area. This is not, this is just a snow section. And it's just a mesh. It's just an undulating terrain mesh. It's not a terrain. It's actually just a model, but it could have been a terrain. I could have used the actual terrain that's used in modern games, and it would have worked. That's one of the things about this game. And I wanted it to be a generic character mesh, because then I could model the tracks myself and just make them whatever shape I wanted. Because yeah, I'm pretty fast at 3D modeling, so I can get tracks out pretty fast, that's why this game has so many tracks. Anyways, let me go back to reading comments. Fighter aircraft like Ikaruga? No, like Ace Combat. Chat's moving kind of fast. Let me scroll up a bit. Please take a break. Gotta rest after cooking bangers for real. Are you guys playing the bangers? I see a lot of people commenting that it it doesn't make you any better for getting a little bit frustrated at your audience, but hey man, if you like my bangers, give them a shot. It's on Steam. I'm looking at the player numbers, dude. They're really low. But you know, if you like it, give my game a shot. Okay, let me check. What is your favorite thing that you made for XF? I think it's just the world building. I really enjoyed designing the world building for it, although it was pretty difficult. But I've noticed that this game has some parallels with Alpine Career and Spark 3. Was that levels the basis for this game? No. It's just that they use the same 3D modeling techniques. I'm just as a note, I'm probably not making the plane game. Days Combat like, I'm probably not making it. It's just something I want to at some point, but it's certainly not going to be my next game. How about a game like Vanquish? I haven't played Vanquish in ages. Probably not. I have thought about making a first-person shooter at some point. Controller first-person shooter that controls very differently than other first-person shooters, but I doubt it would be received well. RGPX has spline-based collision, yeah. I thought it also allows for mesh collision too. I suppose you could do both, yeah. You just switch between both depending on what's below the vehicle. I feel like XF might have been inspired by Wipeout. That is a shame. I've never played Wipeout. I've never played any other AGRs that are not F-Zero. Like, that's one thing that I've taught, because one of the things is we're starting when it comes to the AGRs is that a lot of games that claim to be like F-Zero GX were actually more like Wipeout. Pretty much most AGR games, Anti-Gravity Racers, are Wipeout. They're just like Wipeout. They're nothing like the F-Zero line of games. This game leans closer to F-Zero, although it is its own thing. There are specific things about F-Zero that I don't like, which I didn't bring into this game. I think one of the things that has caused some controversy, but very little outside of the people that played the game, is that one of the things that I don't like about F-Zero is how the grip loss works in those games. It's just kind of like it's like a binary of either full grip or no grip, and it just kind of happens randomly depending on your analog input. It feels random. It's not actually random, but nonetheless, it's really hard to predict. So the best ways that I played those games was to just get a very grippy car and just go with that. And that worked really well. That's how I beat those games at the hardest difficulty. So what I wanted to do was a game where the vehicle was basically like it was full grip all the time. You have all the control. You have everything all the time, and you know that breaks the laws of physics, obviously. But it is what it is. You have full control. The strafing is it does reduce your speed a little bit when you use it. There's a speed penalty for using it, very little, which is why you're more often than not just supposed to use it to correct turns or do tighter turns and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that sort of stuff. And then there is also many different ways of turning. There's holding a specific button to turn less. There is releasing the accelerator to turn a little more. And there's braking to turn a shit ton. And it's going to look weird for the people who haven't mastered the game. It's going to make the vehicle feel basically weightless. Which, yes, it feels weightless. It's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be kind of like like an anime car. It's cartoonish. It's meant to be just generally very cartoonish, just very over the top and exaggerated. Something akin to how a vehicle would be animated. Take movies like Speed Racer or Redline. Granted, one thing that I'm not a fan of is the spin. You know, you can spin in this game, but it doesn't really do much. Like this idea of cars just spinning like crazy, and I don't like that personally. I don't like vehicles spinning. I guess I'm just not a fan of. I'm not a fan of drifting, even though I implemented a drift mechanic into this game. I'm just not a fan of drifting. I know people like when the car goes sideways. Even when a train goes sideways, it looks hype. If anyone knows what meme I'm referencing. Double track drifting. But it's like, yeah, I implemented this drift mechanic. It's hardly a drift mechanic. It's very simple, and it nerfed beyond belief. People use it a lot, but it's actually really nerfed. Like, you can't use it after a while, and then you can hear that the strafing sound becomes lower pitched. That's when you've used it too much, and the game will just stop you from using it again. Let me look at the chat. Gotta go to a meeting right now. Be all like, alright, see you, Strider. Take care, man. How does this feel for this game to be released? A bit of a relief and disappointment, unfortunately. But it is what it is, because the game isn't doing that much better than it was in early access. Wolfman should have been the main character, are you sure? Or just because he's, you know. I mean, one of the concepts for a potential XF sequel was for it to be able to choose your main character. But that was back when I thought that having a game with choices was the right thing to do. Especially in a game where the story spans a massive amount of time. So he never played Redout. No, I've never played Redout. I've played Fast. I've played Faster MX. I don't like Faster MX at all. I had never played Wipeout, but it has the same problems, I think, as that game, where the vehicles are they're floating and they have like no side grip. Like, I've played some like more realistic jet fighter games. There's this one game that I played called I think it was Jetborne Racing. It's mostly designed for VR, but you can play it on a controller if you want to. And it was really interesting because I believe the physics on it are more realistic compared to something like Ace Combat. And even still, the jet fighters in that game don't drift around as much as the vehicles in those AGRs. Like the vehicles in those AGRs, they're just sliding all over the place. It's like they're on ice. And I don't know, man. I had a goddamn rudder. Like, I don't understand why they like that. And the strafing is really bad too. It's just I could never get a grip. And then I played uh, not RMX, Fast Fusion, and the fusion mechanic is really interesting because I really like the cars that you can come up with. But in that game, I just have I unlocked anything? I'll just go to another center. In that game, there's a jump button, and I pressed it by accident all the time, and it really frustrated the shit out of me. Like I don't know. That jump button was so. As someone who's designed platformers before, that is a bad implementation of a jump button. Like, you press it and the vehicle just goes max height all the time. Like, don't do that. It's not a good idea. It's best that if you're gonna put a jump button in a racing game, you hold it for a bit, and as you're holding it, your vehicle ascends at a constant rate, and then when you release it, it starts to fall. And potentially, maybe if you want to add something like that, if you press it again, it just slams the vehicle to the ground, as if there's some thrusters pushing it onto the ground. That gives the players a lot of control. But that's usually how jumps work in platformers. They don't you just press a button and just poof. No, usually you ascend at a constant rate, or there's a burst of acceleration, and then when you release it, there's an acceleration that stops you from going up. Because now in platformers, you like to control your jump height by the length that you press the button. Multi-track drifting. Are you disappointed that most people are just going to use the crosswinds? I'm not disappointed that people are going to use the crosswinds. I'm disappointed that they're going to use the crosswinds because the crosswinds is more for advanced players. It's a bit of it requires a lot more skill to play as the crosswinds. So people might get really frustrated because they're choosing a vehicle that's, more geared towards those who have a better knowledge of the game. That's all there is to it. Could this game technically be considered 12 years in development? Well, it has references to the other game. I mean, the classic Punisher over here is a reference to how XF used to be. It's the red Kestrel is a reference. Well, it's actually straight up just the polished. It's the same model as the Kestrel from an older version of XF, but it's been tweaked around and repainted so it looks, better and fits this universe. It also has some parts that were moved and changed around to add control surfaces and stuff like that. The booster is also completely different. They improved a fair bit in Fast Fusion. I don't know if they improved that Fast Fusion all that much. Those games feel very similar. I think that game needs an insane amount of grip and better strafing to be good, and also a chase cam that's not constantly. It's like it's in trailer mode. The chase cam in those fast games, every time you turn, the camera leans like crazy. I'm like, man, I'm doing that myself with my head whenever I turn. You don't have to do it for me. Just keep the chase cam. The chase cam, personal belief in my personal belief in chase cams and racing games is that they should give you the best view of the track possible while keeping the sense of speed. Everything else isn't really needed. You don't need to simulate the G-forces. If you want your game to have a chase cam for the trailers, you can put that as a dynamic camera in the options if you'd like, and some people will probably like it. But I think that yeah, those sorts of cameras really are only really there for trailers. It feels like because and then they become a thing in the main game. I don't like it. Why does the camera have to like turn so much? Grip Combat Racing does a jump button well if you have to charge the jump button, and depending on how long you have it, higher your jump. Well, that at least helps with accidental jumps, because then I'll do like a tiny little jump. More LGBT characters in future games? That's not a priority, man. I don't know if I should even comment on having LGBT characters. Like, it's a spoiler in the plot, but so I'll just leave it at that. But I'll do it if it's relevant to the story, if it means something, or else I will not mention a character's sexuality. Right? Like if I decide to go into a plotline where Spark decides to have a kid with a female for me, now you know he's straight or bi, who knows? It doesn't really matter. It's not important unless it becomes important. Let me check. I heard you said this game is heavy. Do you think it'll run well on a Steam Deck? I've heard that the game runs about 40 FPS if you lower the graphics. This game is more CPU bound than anything, and the Steam Deck seems to have a fairly decent CPU, so it'll probably run. Probably, yeah. I have a Steam Deck. I could just try it out, but I haven't booted that damn thing in ages. It's one of those things where you buy it thinking you're gonna play games on the go. You never play games on the go. Whenever I'm on the go, I don't play games. I'm usually the one doing the driving anyway, so I often don't have times to play games on the go anyway. When you're gonna release the full soundtrack, that's not up to me, but I believe that's coming at some point. Let's see, is there anything I missed? Your chase cam shows you the track ahead by turning the same direction as the vehicle's turning. No. I think that's kind of a bad thing, the camera turning into the direction of the vehicle is turning. What I think is best for a racing game is for the chase cam to turn into the direction that the vehicle is going. Because that way you have a very clear information about the direction in which the vehicle is going. But there's a few exceptions. In XF, one thing that I like to do a lot is the camera does try to simulate a bit on where you would be looking. Because a good thing about an automatic camera is that it's trying to look at where you would want to look. So, for example, the camera, if you go in a loop-de-loop and your vehicle is moving upwards, the camera automatically detects that your vehicle is tilting upwards, and it's gonna come down to the ground and look up, because it's looking at a point that is slightly on top of the vehicle. Like if I come to a standstill, it goes lower, but if I speed up, it goes upwards. That's because I don't know why he did that exactly, but I just thought that the camera, if the vehicle was on a standstill, the camera would look better if it was closer to the vehicle. But when you speed up, the camera stays at a point where you have almost a maximum view of the track as possible. But it also, specifically in loop-de-loops or convex turns, like whenever you're going downhill, basically, it will like move upwards more to give you a better view of what's coming in the track. I think in this area over here, it might do it a little bit. I'm not sure if it will. No, it does. It's not turning hard enough for you to be able to see it. Yeah, in this track, there's not going to be many opportunities for it. But that's one thing, like, in XF, as far as I can tell, no one's ever had any problems where whenever you go uphill, like, the camera is just not giving you any visibility of what's coming. It's just not really there. Also, if the camera is pointing at where the vehicle is going instead of where you're trying to go, whenever you turn in XF like this, you can see that the vehicle is turning. But there's no fakery. The vehicle just tilts to the left or the right. But because it's turning, the camera is like catching up to it. And so it looks like the vehicle is turning. I've seen some games where when the vehicle turns, they straight up move the entire model to the side. And that's, you know, like the vehicle rotates in a yaw format. And I think that's really bad. In this case, it just tilts or rolls. It might be easier to see this the camera doing its thing in this track because it has a loop-de-loop. Let's overdrive right away. Yeah, look, the camera moves down whenever you're going fast on a loop. Just slightly, too. It's not a lot. It moves down, but because it's tracked to a point right above the vehicle, it tries to look up because it's tracked to that point. It's always looking at that point specifically. And I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like once you've designed a racing game camera, whenever you're designing the tracks, you just keep the camera in mind. So you don't have to have the camera look where you need to go. Instead, the camera gives you more information about the vehicle itself. The camera is like such an important part of video games. I mean, in this game, the FOV of the camera is changing all the time, but it's tweaked in a way that the camera always keeps the vehicle in like the same place on screen. In a lot of games, when the FOV increases, the vehicle goes like it becomes tiny because the camera isn't compensating for the increase in FOV. When you increase the FOV, the camera needs to get closer. So what I did is as your speed increases, the camera gets closer, so the size of the vehicle on screen and its position on screen remains mostly the same. There are a few tricks where when you boost, the camera lags behind a little bit, just to give you a little bit more of a just view. It just gives you a little bit of feedback, makes the boost feel stronger than it actually is. I mean, it is pretty strong, but it makes it feel stronger, and that's good. Let me check the chat. Just having the camera point straight, prograde. Prograde means a direction. Yeah, but there's a lot to the camera. Cameras are very difficult. I think the Gran Turismo series is the biggest defender with a chase cam. It's like the worst. I mean, it might not be the worst. There's some that are worse, but it's still pretty bad. A racing game mode that involves platform and close enough welcome cresting racing. Oh my god. The discourse right now and the dismissal of kart games as racing games. I want to throw my penny in that. My few pennies. I want to throw a few dollars into it. I don't think you can dismiss it. I don't think you can dismiss the most popular racing game. Like, you just can't dismiss the most popular racing subgenre. Karting is a real fucking goddamn thing. And I know the those kart games are arcadey, but go-karts are a thing. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter if go-karts are a thing. Those games are too simple. It's like, who cares? Frankly, like, my experience was back in the Wii U. I played Mario Kart 8 a lot. That game was really fun. That was the one game I had on the Wii U. I also didn't have a TV screen to play my games with. It was quite poor at the time. But I did have a Wii U of all things. Good thing is that that game allowed online play, and it was free at the time. And I had a lot of fun because it was all I really had. But then again, it wasn't just that. It was also a really fun game, and the items were lesser. There was less item like bullshit in that game, because most people nowadays are going to play the re-release, they're going to play Deluxe, and Deluxe has 2 items that you can hold at the same time, and that just increases the amount of item chaos on the track. And it's one of the reasons why I don't enjoy Deluxe as much as the original. But it always boggles my mind that Mario Kart players just refuse to play their kart game without items. It just seems to be like, every time I bring up the idea, people are like, no, it's like the opposite of a Smash player. They don't want to do it. But the people don't know why items are there. Like, they think it's because it's to make the game child friendly. It actually makes the game more adult friendly. And the reason for it is because items protect egos. Randomness protects egos. If you get hit by a blue shell, it was the blue shell's fault, it wasn't you. Right? You can always blame someone else. Like, it's one of the reasons why MOBAs do so, or at least did so well. Nowadays it's competitive shooters, but they're still team-based. Team-based games seem to do pretty well. And I think that's because it protects egos. You can always blame someone else. It's not your fault you lost. Your teammates were bad. Same thing for items. It was bad luck. I didn't get the item I wanted. Or it's just, I got hit or something. It's not that I played badly. It protects the ego. And that randomness keeps people playing. And really, I genuinely don't understand, especially with 200cc, like on Mario Kart 8, like, just play without items. I think the dismissal of that game's mechanics is a fucking crime. I think it plays pretty well. And especially in 200cc, where you actually have to use your brakes. That game is fun as hell. So there's absolutely like a way to play that game. And for those who don't know, 200cc makes the game faster. Faster in a way that the game wasn't actually designed for. And so they had to add a brake. So you have to take turns very differently. But once you do, and you figure it out, it's very satisfying. I think those games would be great without items. And again, in 200cc, they're not even that slow anymore. So it's like, sure, people can dismiss kart racers, but I was scratching my nose. I don't think it's worth it. What difficult did I choose for this? I forgot. I thought I chose Beyond. But, anyways. No, I don't think people should be dismissing kart racers when it comes to the racing game discussion. They're absolutely relevant. There are things that they are doing that are getting people to play. And I mean, people talk about the characters like Mario and stuff like that. But let's keep in mind, real racing games have real cars. Some people will probably play a racing game because it has their favorite car in it. The car itself is like a character. I mean, it has a face. Cars have faces. Right? Cars have character. Some absolutely do. There's even lore behind cars. Like Group B rally cars have lore. There's like a. I remember watching the Donut Channel back when it still had like very early on when it had its main hosts. There's lore about cars. There's lore about specific cars. There actually is. So, like, like cars are like characters too. It's the reason why I think licensed games do. Cars with licensed cars do probably better than games without licensed cars. Let me check. There's Ring Races. I played Ring Races. That's a crazy game. I think one of its biggest problems is that it doesn't have 3D models, and that the fact that the carts on it, I think they drift a little too much. And by drifting, I mean the grip on the ground. They feel like they're slipping a lot. I'm sure there's a mod out there for a 3D model for one of the cars, but I think that game does not benefit from the carts being to the. I think it's a very interesting game with a poor tutorial, but once you get into it, it's kind of fun. Sonic Crossroads. Here's an opinion. I think Crossroads is actually one of. It's a really bad kart racer with some interesting mechanics. And I say it's a bad kart racer because of the way it handles collisions. If you've collided with a wall in that game, it always feels like the game has no fucking idea what to do. It's just like, wall? Huh? What's that? It just behaves so weirdly. In many different types of terrain and conditions, the game just behaves so weirdly. The way you do tricks in the air too, by just moving the analog stick left and right. I'm still like, every time I play that game, I'm confused. Permanently confused. But it has vibes. The soundtrack is good at times, if you can dismiss the bad parts about it. And it certainly has, like, people talk about the vibes and how bad they are. No, I fucking died. I think I put specifically a disqualify zone in there specifically because of that wall right in front of you. Because if you hit a wall right in front of you, your speed goes straight to 0. So there's a few places in the game where if your cart's gonna, not your cart, your ship's gonna hit it, hover jet, and if it's gonna send your speed all the way to fucking 0, I just make you retire. Because at that point you might as well. Or in single race it'll just respawn you. A few points where it does it. Let's see if it does it in here. Oh no, it doesn't. I put an invisible wall so it sends you sideways. Just to keep the momentum flowing. It's still less optimal than doing it the normal way. Also, this is the only track in the game where you can technically wall ride. Due to the way the terrain works, this isn't technically considered a traditional wall. But as soon as you get inside, now it's a wall again. It's just a small quirk of this track specifically. Every other track in the game is not like this. And even then the wall riding isn't exactly great. Otherwise you can't really wall ride in this game at all. Let me see if I can do something like over here. Yeah, look at the wall ride. Terrible. But it's also not, I guess it's not fully brain dead. If you just go into it, that's gonna happen. But anyways, I should probably look at the chat. How do I get my hands on the XF Spark 3 engine? The XF engine isn't available. It's the character controller for XF is its own thing, built from scratch. The Spark 3 engine is Unity, same as XF. And then there is this thing that I built as a base called Hedge Physics, which you can Google and download it if you want. It's not an engine, it's just a character controller. Kirby Air Riders. I'm not sure about Kirby Air Riders. That game is very weird. A lot of the times when I'm playing that game, I feel like the track is moving the character for me just because I'm going so absurdly fast. Ever played Sonic Riders? Absolutely. I think it's fucking amazing. It's an amazing game with some really terrible problems. Because I think, like, that game is technically a kart racer. It has items. But if you remove them from the game, it would be a better game. Because they're barely there. Like, you can occasionally hit an item box, and most times you just get rings, which are good. But a lot of the times, you either get air, or you get the fucking ball and chain. Why is there a ball and chain that just slows you down like crazy? Riders is one of my favorite games of all time, but man, there's some really weird choices in that game. Also, the way the attacks work in that game, I think it's really bad. Since they hit you, you lose all of your rings, and all of a sudden you're going really slow. I know there's some like mods out there, like Tournament Edition or whatever, but I'm not really sure Sonic Riders is exactly a great game to be experienced online. I don't fully really believe in the Sonic Riders online experience. Am I gonna lose at the Moon Cup? Are you proud of creating Spark the Electric Jester? Proud is a strong word. I like that I created it. It's a franchise that I want to work with and I want to make better. I'll return to it at some point. Dude dies in his own game, rip, yeah. When you get a new Spark game. When you get a new Spark game. When you get a new Spark game. Guys, this is the XF thing. If I make another Spark game, I will make a Spark Q&A. But it is great to see that people want a Spark game. Because at least that means I might know what I should do next. I'm gonna be real, the disqualifying is the most annoying part of XF. Yeah. It's annoying to die in a video game. So one of the things about the disqualifying is that it's meant to make the game dangerous. A big part of speed is danger. I don't think people realize that. Going really, really fast is a lot more meaningful when there's things at risk. So the disqualifying being annoying, I think, is was an attempt at making something like that work. Will there be online multiplayer for this game? Never. Potential. Potential is great. Absolutely. Very high potential, but there's no players. We got like 20 players peak. And if you look at the history, there was a huge time where there was like straight up like 0 players for a long stretch of time. Have you played Grip? No, I have not played Grip. Zero Gravity was such a shame. Yeah, it was. I don't know why they did it like that. What inspired to make a find something to do in the Nomad option map? Yeah, that option is just a way to be able to skip days. I added too many days to the story mode. To be honest, the game should have started in January and not in December. So I added an option for people to skip days. where it would have added some lore to the game, and that's it. Originally, that option was going to be the house interior, specifically Shell's house or apartment, tiny 1 room or 2 room apartment. There's technically a bathroom, but that place is fully modeled and playable, but you know there are parts where you're supposed to like click on a computer and trigger a cutscene where you read something on the internet, and that passes the day. But I wanted more to it. There was also early plans for just a plaza area where you could walk around. That never became a thing. That's not in the game. But regardless, I decided to just make the home button the skip, and then all those side ideas of things you could do on the Nomad was just added as text cutscenes to the I'm missing my words. Oh, what's happening to me? To the daily events, daily activities. Check. Like, how do you feel about doing a viewer lobby stream for something like Ring Races or Forza? What's a viewer lobby? I played the newest Forza. I don't know what that means. Are you ever annoyed how Spark overshadows the rest of your work? No, not really. It's just that right now I'm unwilling to answer any questions regarding whatever I might make next, because I want to keep that open. I think I've said before that I do want to make Spark 4 at some point. And yeah, the story of Spark is not just a trilogy. I feel like Spark 3 brought a lot of new players to the franchise, and it works as a standalone game. In a way, it is designed to also be someone's first time experience. So I do want to continue the series, but it's just, I'm not working on anything like that right now. I've started some preliminary work on something, but that's a secret. I'm not talking about it. Like, why does the Nomad have Mercury's gravity? Well, it doesn't. It has Mars's gravity. That's because Mercury pretty much has Mars's gravity. They're very similar, even though the sizes are different. Mercury is a very dense planet, so they have very similar gravity. Also, like, that's one thing that I've been like thinking about those space colonies. They all think that the cylinder needs to spin at 1G, but I'm like, have we ever like wondered if half of Earth's gravity is enough for us to keep our bone density? It might be. We haven't tried that yet. Then again, it's also like the year 3000. That's, you could literally be living in space and be fine, but it's fiction. I think there was specifically some medicine that was designed that was just for astronauts to keep their bone density. Probably another muscle density that would still degrade, but if they can fix some of the issues with living in space with just medicine, then there we go. And there's still the radiation problem to deal with, but cancer research is evolving. One day, I hope cancer will be just like getting the common cold. Go to a doctor, take pills, and you don't have it anymore. Maybe one day. Actually, apparently there is one. There's this one like vaccine that they're making that is optimized for your own personal genome and specific cancer cells that you have. Literally a cancer vaccine. This is like a new thing. Hopefully it's as promising as they say. How high would your character jump on Earth? Yeah, the gravity values that are set for the vehicles do affect the character. in the same way. So yeah, like specifically in the Moon Cup, I just actually just so the gravity in the game works like this. It's the gravity value that we have multiplied by 5. That's it. So on Earth, it's 5G technically, because in video games, gravity is usually higher than real life. It's just kind of how it is. It's a gameplay thing. Let me check. So there was some here that I must have missed. Have you ever played HSX? No. Yeah, so the home option where you just skip a day, that was supposed to be where you would have a part of the daily events, and I just decided to compress it all into one thing. I was gonna bring a friend group, but yeah, it's local only. Yeah, it just is what it is. Online play is something that you can implement, but I could implement it. It's gonna be extremely difficult. So that's why I did a poll, and I asked people, what do you want more? Like, cause it's gonna take a long time to make, like actual online. So it's either story or online. So I went going for story. I made a poll, but I think I would have gone for story regardless, because implementing online play was miserable. Hi, Lake Fippard. What feelings do you have about Hannah? The indecent implication about her makes me feel very much pity towards her. I am uncertain what I am supposed to feel. Me too. I don't know what you're supposed to feel. I make the story, but I didn't exactly like make a story so you would feel something explicitly. You feel what you feel. I just make the story. You know, there are scenes where you try to get players to feel a certain way, right? You want players to feel excited for a race, for example. But when it comes to a character like Hana, she's an interesting one, and she's relevant to the story. But yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. So the question, Forza mentioned, do you think single is Bowie Knife 99? The AstroTurf meme. Bowie Knife 99 is nothing. Guys, I played the game, I played it on early access. Bowie Knife is just not that aggressive. It's just that the AI in Forza will occasionally do stupid shit. And it's also very artificial, incredibly artificial. So people say that it's like, oh, it's the drive avatars or some players, it's based on an actual player. I don't buy it. I think it's all faked. I think AI in Forza is fake. The drive avatars are just regular racing game AI. I think they're just regular racing game AI. If this was really based on players, they would ram you a lot more often. But they don't ram you often enough. If you play online, it's a completely different experience. Highly unlikely pharma companies make too much money not treating it. If that was the case, then Ozempic wouldn't have been a thing. But, I mean, granted, like, I don't know. People say a lot about that, but then if a company actually does it does happen. They get to profit on it, I think, from patents for about 15 years after the drug is released. So for a while, for 15 years, it'll be expensive, and then it can become a generic. Essentially, anyone can make it. I really like the realistic take on space colony, except for the gravity and the Noma too. Why is it not 1G and Shell doesn't have crazy hops? Just have crazy hops. Shell jumps pretty high. Like it. I don't know. Star Trek future unlikely. Exactly. Super Gaming Bro 64. I don't think Star Trek's happening at all. I think we're gonna have a bunch of different nations in space. Some of them are better than others. Which planet has 0.378 Gs? I believe Mercury also has it. I can check it. Mercury gravity in G. No, I don't want it. I don't want an AI. Oh, it's 3.8. Slightly higher. Oh, according to... Oh, that's according to the AI overview. Fucking bullshit. According to Wikipedia, it's 0.377. So... Yeah, it's a fraction away. They're basically the same in terms of gravity. Are Spark and XF in the same world? Yeah. They have favorite vehicle racer? No. Do you think adding online features to future games? No. When Izuka said that he might take some inspiration from Spark's mechanics, I don't think he ever said that. Like, are there any lore about the Survivor? I've written some, quite a bit actually, but I never had any opportunity to put it in the game since you never really talked to him. But he wouldn't really have any interest in talking to you, so you never really hear it. And no one really knows. But I did write his backstory. He does have a backstory. You just never get to see it. It's a lot of gauges. Well, there are clues in the game about the survivor's backstory. Very small clues, but there are there. When you release more character lore later down the line, yeah, probably not ever. There is a lot more lore to every character. Like, I've written down all of their backstories. But that was for me. That was for me to figure out how they would talk and how they would act in the world, but not all that lore really needs to be in the game. I have played Kingdom Hearts, all of them. Except for the mobile ones. Regular racing game in the but without any rubber banding. No. Forza has a shit ton of rubber banding. It's kind of complicated the way it has rubber banding. It's hidden a little bit better. Sometimes. Sometimes it's not. How many hours does he work at a burger to make a living wage if he worked full time? I had a rent mechanic at some point. I was going to implement. It was part of the concept where every month you had to pay rent. I don't know how much it would have been, but considering the size of his apartment, it would have been much, because there's a lot more land in outer space than there is now. Funny you mention Ozempic. They're charging so much money for it. That's because Ozempic is still in that phase where it's still owned by a company. It's a patent. Patents are like copyright, but they don't last as long. They last about 15 years. Most medications that you have are generic. And that's because the patents on them expire. They're trying to make all the money they can make right now. And they're speeding that shit up like crazy. But eventually, in about 15 years, Ozempic will become a lot cheaper. Just in general. Who's the Legend 27? I don't know. What? Bro just full named me. Yeah. The XF ad in Technoria City was assumed to be single in the foreground. The glowing eyes. The glowing eyes was supposed to be an early concept for Shell. Shell was meant to be some robot that Single had created. It was a very early concept for XF. But I never went through with it. It was similar to what we have now, but your character was supposed to be evil all along. There were many early concepts for XF. I mean, some of them are playable. Would you be able to make a collab with Freedom Planet? Maybe? Sure. Depends on what. Any crossovers between Spark and XF? There's plenty already. Where's the orangey on the name like Feppard? Feppard is an abbreviation of my last name. First and last name. And Lake is just... It's just the word Lake. I was making a nickname on somewhere, and I already went by Feppard, so I just put Lake in front of it, and that just became the name I use. I want to know what the survivor survived. Oh yeah, I ain't telling you. John Halo to John XF. Is it a survivor from a mobile roguelite survival game? No. Silly spoiler question, but how does Digigirl end up in Shell's apartment? Well, the door was busted open. That doesn't mean Shell locked it. Yeah, how they found out where Shell lives. No, that's never really explained, but I'm pretty sure they could have figured it out. You can probably just see his car parked in front of it, or just follow it, or look it up online. Digigirl figures things out online. That's established pretty early. And also everyone has a tracker. There was that too. Shell is not an exemption. Brand mechanic is crazy. It was. But then again, Shell would have probably just... It doesn't matter. He could have just created a house. Surprised if Forza Motorsport 7 or 8 have a lot of it this series. What? Okay. Time to recycle my Spark question. The characters who see Shell and see a man, they see an attractive man. It says in the game, they see them as a regular adult Caucasian male. Would you consider making your games more open to modding? I really don't know how to do that. So I won't. I'd rather just focus on making the game rather than considering how other people could change it. Really, my priority is to get a good game out as fast as I could possibly make it. And making the game good takes priority over modding support. Out there, this game is thinking. The name of the ship in the game is called the Nomad. Oh yeah, they talk about it. That's the name. Doxing on the Nomad, yeah. I mean, remember, they did give a tracker to everybody. I would love to learn more about the characters' worlds in your games. Part of why we love them so much. Maybe they will come back at some point. It's not like they, even 1,000 years, they could still be alive. I mean, in the story, like characters like Shrew and whatever. I mean, Uncle Clark is 1,000 years old, so you know, like it's not like they couldn't live longer. How do you come up with the sleep centers? Get the impression they were a planned mechanic. No, not really. Oh fuck, hold on, I just need to drink some water because my throat's getting really dry. Ugh. Thanks for the sponsor. I like the friendship. Well, there's a lot more lore regarding Digigirl too that didn't come off in the final game. It's unfortunate. I only had enough narrative in the game, and the idea of you being able to play it multiple times to get the good ending would have revealed more of that lore. I had at least 2 romance arcs with 2 different characters planned and written down. I didn't go through with them. So I'll just leave it at that. How'd you come up with sleep centers? I got the inspiration they were planned mechanic. They were not. They were just meant as a universe thing, as an in-universe thing. It's just a lore thing. It's bad that I had almost all the race questions because I know. I think yeah, the Nomad name is very on the nose. It's extremely on the nose. I didn't know what else to call it. But yeah, it is nomadic. It's also called the Nomad 2, implying that there's a Nomad 1. But you never get to see it. I had plans at some point for a Nomad 3 to serve as a plot point. Maybe something about... There was a plot point where like the climax of the game would involve like maybe the Nomad 3 getting completely obliterated and everyone dying, and that would have triggered the finale. I had many plans for what the finale would have been, but I went with something else, and if you play the game you'll see what it is. It's more catastrophic than that. I'll just say it. I'll just say that. What are my opinions on the Frontiers formula for Sonic? I just wish he controlled a little better. That's all. Otherwise, that's fine. Is the Nomad 2 inspired by the ship at the end of Interstellar? The ship at the end of Interstellar was inspired by an O'Neill cylinder, which is an extremely old concept. They just made one that was quite small. No, Mare Falls was remixed by Fun Fiction, the original composer of it. Game Bro revealed Digilure. You know about the Digilure. I have told you before. I won't. It's not in the game. It's not canon. We still don't know where the humans went. Well, that's the thing, right? That's the art book speaking, not the game. So that whole plot point in Spark that the humans disappeared, that's not in the game, guys. That's just art book. Does the Ringatron being in Australia represent the giant hole in the ozone layer? No. I just thought that if there was to be a track that was just one big ass loop, maybe the Australians would be the one to come up with it. And it's called the Ringatron because it just sounds like something an Australian would name it. I just thought it was kind of funny. The Earth Cup is a bit of a joke cup. It's the funny cup. It doesn't fit with the rest of the cups. It's not futuristic, or at least not as much. I mean, one of the tracks is a VR simulation. That's a reference to one of the old XF games. The first one, actually. What happened to the Nomad one? Nothing, probably. I haven't written anything now about the Nomad one. But there's probably a Nomad one out there. There's probably more ships like the Nomad. I just haven't written about it. Are there houses on burn days moving in reference to Neon Genesis Evangelion? No. They move because when the chip turns its engines, everything goes sideways. That the direction of gravity would change. So the houses move, so everything remains outside, everything remains upside up. Some places don't. So the people during burn day just have to deal with everything being sideways for a bit. Not to be weird, but the sleeping thing came from a conversation we had about some guy who was mentioned being induced in a coma of some sort. Yeah, I'm not going into that. I'm not going into that game, bro. I need an easy mode for the first game. Spark 1? Frontier is a good game, just unpolished. No, it's not unpolished. Frontier's problems is more just the control of Sonic himself. I think if Sonic controlled a lot better, the game would have been a lot better. Also, the way it handled terrain collisions as well. Maybe if the game also let you be more free with its camera. They did do a lot of that for Shadow Generations. Shadow Generations was in the same engine as Frontiers, and it controls a lot better than Frontiers. So I think those improvements are already in their next title. Maybe one day I have a chance to go back to XF and add things to scope out the polish of XF. No. I'm not adding things to this game. If I were to make anything XF related, it would be a new XF game. Yeah, the Ringatron's a fun track despite being a little straight line. Yeah, it's a straight line. Like, it's a weird take on that concept of the track being a straight line, just being a huge loop-de-loop. I feel like Australians would be proud to have something crazy like that exclusive to their country. Welcome to NASCAR, exactly. Had a bit of a reference to NASCAR, and then with Interlagos I reference just Formula 1 and Interlagos, Hyperlagos. It's a reference to Formula 1. Of course, it's not the actual track. It's a parody on it. there, but the Luna base is destroyed. Mare Falls, that confirms humans will go extinct. That confirms humans are not living on the moon anymore. So, but I still need game things. Red Hell is so hard, like it was made for cars, that it was really funny. I also think I made Red Hell a little bit too hellish because of those turns that were not those turns. There's a part of the track that is slightly inspired by the real life carousel from the Nürburgring, but extremely exaggerated. And I don't think it did a good job at it because it's unique to those tracks. They're the only ones that really have a turn like that. Those like I don't know exactly how to call it. They're like quarter pipes, but on the outside, and it's unique to it, but they're not exactly fun. It's probably because of the effects of the terraforming the moon's, not really because they went extinct. The moon has changed a lot in Spark 1. So I thought I saw an old XF reference in the release trailer. Genuinely love going to the okay. Is that one level in the game inspired by Mario Galaxy? The game? Well, not exactly. I did create the engine. The new character controller that I made for Shell is an advancement on what I had for Spark 3. Except it's able to handle any gravity direction. That was one thing that I wanted to do because that wasn't a thing in Spark 3. It was only able to handle the down direction of gravity. It couldn't handle circular gravity or just any other types of gravity or just upside down or sideways into the wall. I faked that in Spark 3 by having the entire level rotate in the same way that I did in Spark 2. The entire level rotates. You don't actually go upside down. And this time, the entire level actually does go. The entire level does not rotate. You rotate. And you know, it's a really tricky problem to solve because you got to do it for the camera as well, and there's a lot of vector math involved, and it was tricky to get right, but I did manage to do it. There was even a problem. I forgot who exactly pointed it out about the camera behaving weirdly, and it was a floating point issue, and it took me multiple hours to fix. It was an entire sleepless night, but I did fix it by creating a proxy camera that always stays parallel to the player's because the character input is relative to where the camera is. So what I had to do is that I needed to create a proxy camera. The proxy camera would just stay at the same level as the player instead of moving up and down, and so the input didn't have to compensate for the camera being up and down, which was causing some input inaccuracies. Turns out that fixed a lot more than just like even the running inputs became a lot better. Just when you're going at higher speeds, that actually it got better all of a sudden just from that change, and I'm glad I did that. It'd be funny from Australia track to be entirely upside down. I think that joke is. I don't like the upside down jokes for Australia. I also live in the southern hemisphere. It's like I'm like in the same latitude as like Australia. Like I'm also upside down. It's an entire goddamn hemisphere. How much of Spark was used on foot sections of XF? None. It was built from scratch. I wanted to create a better character controller to begin with. It's just that for XF, I didn't need to add any uh, particular slope physics. I mean, there are slope physics when you jump in the slopes, but there's no like like the character actually turning into the slope and doing a loop-de-loop. That's not possible for that character controller. He can't go in a loop-de-loop. Let's see. Recall you calling attention to planets in Historia Hysteria, all of which appear to be terraformed. Yeah, but there's also a mural in Historia where it shows a craft landing on the moon. You should check how the moon looks like in that panel or in that mural. It's in one of the side stages. Do you plan on making the Mediterranean foot stages replayable? No. I also asked on Twitter about remaking Chrono Adventure. The source is public. People have been remaking my old Sonic fan games for a long time now. People are allowed to do what they want to do with those games. Is this proxy camera the reason why the joystick was inaccurate when above the player? No, the proxy camera was the fix. The proxy camera is essentially the same as the normal camera, but it doesn't go above the player. It stays at the same level as the player. So the inputs are relative to that proxy camera instead. And it made everything a lot more accurate. I couldn't get my brother into Spark 3, but he absolutely loved XF. That's good. Well, an interesting fact about the Survival That's Not game, even if it's a small one. Look at the name of his ship. What do you plan on doing after XF? Yeah, it's been asked before. Have you played Devil May Cry series? 1, 3, and 4. And I quit halfway through 4 because I didn't really like 4 that much. Maybe I just burned out on it. From what I played, I preferred Devil May Cry 1 the best. What's your favorite track in XF? I don't really have a favorite track. If I had a place to live, probably Mars. Colder than Earth, slightly lower gravity. That's about it. I don't know. My controller turned off. How long have I been on? Oh, 2 hours? Oh, damn. We'll go for a little longer. I don't know how many views are even on the stream. I'll let some questions pile up while I play. I had some thoughts about racing games, but I think I spilled them already. I saw this conversation while I let the questions pile up. I saw this conversation on Twitter that was interesting. Basically, people were talking about Forza and talking about being able to get out of your vehicle in Forza and how you shouldn't let people do that. I mean, technically you already can. In Forza, you can get out of your vehicle and get into your vehicle in the showcase screen whenever you buy a new vehicle. And I think it's called Forza Vista in the menu. You can look around your vehicle in like a first-person camera and open the doors, get in, and do all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so it's first person, but you're out of your vehicle. You just can't do that in the open world. I believe it probably should be possible for them to do it, especially since the game has car meets now. But one thing that someone said in the comments on that tweet that was really funny to me was that, oh, if you're gonna add first person, then people are gonna ask for other things like guns or other things, and it's just gonna turn into GTA. And it's like, well, now it's crazy how popular GTA is. Kind of makes me think that a game that just kind of simulates what people do in real life, which is, I mean, there's something that I call a primary genre of video games. A primary genre of a video game is not an actual genre, it's playing as a character, playing as a person, right? Even playing as multiple characters. Take chess, for example. Chess is a game where you play as characters. Those characters could be abstracted, that's fine, but you're playing as characters, right? You're like this, it's a turn-based RPG, kind of. That's not turn-based RPG, it's a tabletop game. Everyone gets it, but you know, it's a, you could probably make chess into a turn-based RPG. It'd be funny. Like, you give characters stats and they can level up by like killing others. A chess RPG, someone's probably already done it. Regardless of that, I think that slippery slope argument is really funny. It's like, oh, suddenly you had that, and then you want this, and you want that. It's like, yeah, people do be like that. That's true, but it's also up to the developer what they add or not. Slippery slopes are funny because people like to go on them a lot, especially very, very neurotic people like me. It's like, well, if you start this, then you could go in this direction. But the way to counteract your view on a slippery slope is to just calm the fuck down and realize that at some point the slope becomes less slippery. People go, but at some point you start to see pushback. And eventually the slope is not as slippery anymore. Fun thing about this trick, the water moves up and down. It used to move a lot more, but there was a major problem with it, and that was that it would move so much that the player would clip under the water. It might still happen occasionally, but it very rarely does, if ever. I have never seen it happen. But I had to minimize those mechanics. Not only that, but I don't know how to make compute shaders, so the water is CPU based. In that case, the water is moved based on essentially the CPU is controlling the mesh and making it move based on a noise. But it doesn't do it every frame, it does it once every few frames, so it's very slow. Granted, all things considered, I should probably just not have done that. For a game so reliant on the CPU, it would have sucked. But also, if you make it as a compute shader, it's still not great because you still have to transfer data from the GPU to the CPU, and that takes a bit. You can't necessarily make it reliable. At the end of the day, water mechanics and XF are just a different terrain type. Okay, there's more chat. Let me look into it. Must say that thing said about Hannah and other robots being built off of brain scans of deceased woman is interesting. Yeah, that's already happening. I think recently they scanned the brain of a fly. This is like a fly simulator that can run on your computer. Google open worm. Just open worm. You can run a worm on your computer. By the way, you made a guy that doesn't care much for racing games. Me get obsessed with a racing game. Good job. That's cool. GTA is the most overrated series of all time. I don't say that. I mean, I don't like 4 very much. I'm more of a San Andreas guy. But 5 is fine. Just a little short. This is an Never Centauri based on the X43A. I don't know exactly which one is that, but it is based on a hypersonic vehicle, yes. Specifically an American vehicle, because the Survivor is American. I guess that's a piece of lore, but I don't know, they call him John throughout the game, and maybe that gives it away. Is Callisto the most funky moon across all the planets? Yes, and the most homophobic. But it is the most funky. Hear me out, a GTA game. It's not a GTA game in the XF unit. It's not that hard for me to just program a way to get in and out of the vehicle. I could have done it. I didn't do it. I mean, I did it in Spark 3. I just wouldn't have an animation for it. I would just teleport you inside the vehicle. Technically, Spark 3 has GTA mechanics. If I had a little bit of an open world with a car on it. The problem is more or less programming traffic. You have to like set up all those nodes and things like that for them to follow. It's a lot of work. Who was your favorite character to write? I don't know. None of them, maybe? It was a different task every time. I'm personally satisfied with the performance. 1080 page on the Bleeding Edge CPU from 2017. I don't think it's the GPU that's screwing at this game. It's the CPU, but still. Just be able to unlock Spark as a secret driver. Yeah, but which car? No, I'm done making content for this game, guys. I'm not putting Spark in the game. What's your favorite car machine designed that way? Yeah, maybe the Never Centauri. It's more because of how it plays. Homophobia in the 3000s is depressing. I don't think it's ever... What is it? Prejudice is never going away. It's just a feature of humans. Or flaw. It's a feature. It's both a feature and a flaw. It has it. You should be prejudiced against something that could kill you, like I don't know, a tiger. A friend asked about the Never Centauri and NASA jet. Yes, I've answered that. Damn, put the funky homophobes in my Jupiter moon. prefer Watch Dogs over GTA. I played the second game. It was fine. Just anything may happen in the 3000s. Anything may happening in the 2000s. Anything be happening all the time. People say nothing ever happens. I say shit happens all the damn time. Something you missed from the previous versions of XF? Wheels? No. Do you have any regrets on things you wish could have done before release? Oh, my regret is committing to this project like full on like that. But I only realized it halfway through development and I couldn't abandon it. It was a very tough game to make. Very, very tough. I considered giving up a few times. But it was out in early access. I couldn't just leave it there. It had to come out. And I didn't rush it either. I developed all the content that I promised. I had to. Is single Squidward gone wrong? Sure. Have you played Hollow Knight? Yes, and I don't really like it. I can play the game while I rant about Hollow Knight for a bit. I don't like Hollow Knight. I don't like it. I don't like Hollow Knight. I played Silksong a bit. Also didn't like it. It's more because I guess it's like Souls-likes are complicated for me. Because I don't enjoy the difficulty. I straight up just never did. And I played Dark Souls 1. I really like Dark Souls 1. Although, it's really hard to replay that game because after you beat Ornstein and Smo, the game gets a little weird. And then again, I think that boss fight is bullshit. It's totally doable, but I still think that boss fight is bullshit. And in fact, I think the Souls games have too much emphasis on boss fights at the moment. They're the worst parts of those games, in my honest opinion. People like them because I don't know what they have. They have this like, I don't know if they're masochists or something. I guess it is masochism. It's gotta be. The developer says it's masochism. He says he's a masochist. But like hard games for their own sake, I can't handle it. I don't really like it. Dark Souls 1 is good despite being hard. Because like the world is really dangerous. It encourages you to explore very smoothly. And I did try to play Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls is a good game. But it's something else, man. Don't go in it expecting like Elden Ring. You're not gonna get Elden Ring. You're gonna get a very crazy experience, but I ended up not beating it. I don't know exactly why I stopped playing it. I just lost interest after a certain point. I think it's because I kind of got stuck in a few areas and I didn't really know exactly what to do, and I just decided actually I'm gonna probably not play it anymore. I mean, it was like a slow thing where I was like, I'll play it eventually, and then just never got back to it. And now I haven't played it for such a long time that I don't want to go back to it because I would have to restart from scratch. And it's a difficult game. But it's not difficult because the bosses are difficult. The bosses in Demon's Souls are actually not that difficult. It's not the bosses that make that game difficult. It's the world. And that's the part that I enjoy, but I still think the world is done better in Dark Souls than it is in Demon's Souls. So, and then Elden Ring is a good game because the difficulty is kind of optional, and I like that about it. You can just explore and get over leveled. You can just do that. Some of the reasons I don't like Bloodborne is because you can't do that. Because I don't. Like I said, one of the reasons why I'm not playing Lies of P. It seems like it's a game that's focused on that sort of stuff, on like that Bloodborne, more like Bloodborne-esque gameplay. Same thing for Sekiro. I'm just like, I don't want to play that. I can just play Metal Gear Rising on the highest difficulty and have a much better experience. Like I'm gonna play a game with a soundtrack that I probably will never remember, with bosses that look mostly the same, and are just samurais, or a bold at one time. There's like a monkey or something. I didn't get that far into Sekiro, but I realized I wasn't gonna enjoy it, so I just stopped playing it. I don't enjoy difficulty for difficulty's sake, and I go on that back to Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is more like Sekiro and Bloodborne. There isn't even leveling, which is fine. I prefer the games without leveling. But that means, you know, for every boss, you just gotta get good, and there's only so many attempts at getting good to the point where I just feel like I want to play something else, that I'm wasting my time. Like, there's only so many hours I can spend at a game doing the same task over and over again before I decide. Actually, there are a lot of more games I want to play. Recently, the weirdest fucking game to try to play, and I haven't been having a good time with it. It's Umineko. It's a visual novel. And I've heard it is known for being a masterpiece. So I've heard. I don't see it after more than 50 hours of the game. The game probably has like I feel like every chapter in that game is 50 hours. And there's like 8 of them, I think. It's separated into 2 games. They're gigantic. But god fucking damn. I don't know, man. There's just so much text. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to continue that one. We'll see. Maybe it'll filter me out. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of experiences out there. There's a lot of games out there. And Hollow Knight is just... It's interesting. And it probably gets better as you play because you unlock more upgrades. And you can start moving faster. Especially in Silksong. That's probably a lot of ways to customize your experience too. But... boss is gonna kill me in a few hits. Means I need to keep trying over and over again until I figure out its pattern. I'm not particularly a fan of how the game looks or sounds. So... I'd rather just play Bayonetta on the hardest difficulty. Have a better time. It's probably just as hard, if not harder, than Hollow Knight. Same thing with Sekiro and Metal Gear Rising. I'd rather just play that game on the hardest difficulty. And I did. I've beaten Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising on the hardest difficulty. I've done it. So... There's a Umineko fan in the chat. I will try to finish it. I get kind of sick when I see the same character explain the same concept like 3 times in the same sentence. Let's see. Have you played Cuphead? I will never play Cuphead. I am not playing that fucking game. I see the gameplay footage, I see what it is, and I'm just like, okay, I don't like this type of gameplay. The art style looks fine. It's an art style. It doesn't impress me as much as other people, I guess. Yeah, no, I'm not playing that. Let me see. Which character is the best cook? I haven't considered it. Let me think. Wolfman would be the worst because his fur would get everywhere on the food. Probably either Shu or Clark. Clark because he's really old. Was the boosting mechanic intentional or was it accidental like the magnet dash or boosting mechanic over boosting? Or ghost boosting? Oh, you mean like the whisper boosting that people call it? No, it's just that boosting is just applied separately from acceleration and I just kept it that way. It was just a thing that I did during development and I was like, oh, this is fine. It's not a bug exactly. You sound exhausted? I'm always exhausted. You would eventually get better as you continue playing. Continued, yes. That's the problem. I can only continue for so many hours before I decide, well, there's plenty of games to play. A lot of games out there. I think Fark's campaign Sparkwind is harder than Hollow Knight. Oh, there's no way. As a Cuphead fan myself, I can't stress enough, don't play it. Have you played the YS games? No, I don't want to play them. I see people who became like, started playing them and they think are really good. I've seen plenty of footage of YS games. I know people who like them. I don't think it's for me. Is Shell short for Sheldon? Sure. Another win for the Uncle Clark Nation. I'm kind of, speaking of Uncle Clark, oh there he is. I don't like the booster effect that I did for his vehicle. It's kind of felt like, because his booster is so fucking gigantic, it occupies a huge portion of the screen, and I kind of feel like I did a poor job at it. Could have done a better job, especially since a lot of people are going to be picking him because they think the character looks funny. It's the same reason why I've made Vespa like an unlockable later on, because people were picking Vespa just because she was the girl, and then I'm not sure if it was that or because of her vehicle design, probably because of her, but people were picking her, and then it's same thing with Wolfman. They're realizing they're picking a vehicle that actually controls really hard, which is why I made the LB version of the vehicle, which is the default version. You have to figure it out that you can press up and down to switch to the original version of it. The LB version is much easier to control, but it's not as fast. Let me just finish this stage and then I'll continue checking the chat. So easy to go off the track in story mode after you upgraded your Kestrel. You know, there's actually not that much of a problem with floor huggers. People think floor huggers are bad, and I don't think they're that bad. Platformers are floor huggers by default, like a lot of the times. Because you want your character to move predictably. A lot of the times at least. It's just that there's a lot more to racing than just hugging the floor. I mean, I'm someone who sees the grip loss in F-Zero X to be one of the worst things about that game. It's extremely punishing. It's not very good. Let me check. As a Cuphead fan as well, don't even think about the game. Good, keep me gate kept. Stream Eek. I have played Eek. I have finished Eek. The newer version, at least. It's alright. Good thing you can skip that one scene where a character just keeps going on about a record or some like music shit. It's a good thing that you can just skip text. It kind of saves Yeek. On my way to buy XF, haven't really kept up with updates to the development of the game, but it looks pretty interesting. Hope it does well. Me too. And thank you for purchasing the video game. Leave a review if you like it or dislike it. Which character can wear the fastest besides Shell or Single? Nah. Not adding that in there. Yeah. Well, everyone has a toned body. It's Chrome. It's Chrome. Why did the card stop at the last moment and let me pass? That's only really happening in one circuit. Not circuit. That's yeah. It's only really happening at the Olympus track. I don't know why it's happening over there. It was a mechanic. It absolutely was a mechanic early on, like for cars to just stop at the end to let you pass. I got rid of it for the most part. Absolutely got rid of it. The quote-unquote rubber banding works very differently. There is some rubber banding. Of course, there's some rubber banding. I do believe it is lessened to an extreme degree on beyond difficulty. But for some reason in that one track, it's still in there. I think it's more of a quirk of the spline. Longer tracks, due to the way the game works, you know, a vehicle needs to find the closest point and put in the spline to continue moving. So, because it's one continuous spline, the shorter the track, the better the AI performs. And for longer tracks, I have to lessen the amount of times they check for the spline. That's one of the reasons why Red Hell ran so terribly. So I made it so the AI only checks occasionally for a point in the spline that's closest to them, and then iterates on it. Iterating on it meaning it just follows the next point over. But sometimes, the way the game works, the character, maybe an AI has a car like the Never Centauri, can't handle a turn too well. They will strafe and try to brake and do all that stuff, but then sometimes they will go a little off, and then they still have to find the closest point at that point. Yeek 1, Hollow Knight 0. Is Yeek better than Hollow Knight? No. People ironically liking mixtape in the decade. I have no idea about mixtape. I've seen videos on it. I'm just not playing it. That's it. People can make those games. I don't know. Then Crumb says his body was heavy as fuck. Yeah, but it's still a cyborg body. It's not because it's made out of metal that means that he's slow. Would Fark and Single get along? No. Spark got the big red shoes before everyone else. Okay, let me see. We're in 2:30. Should probably end it. So if you guys have any final questions, now's the time. Is the stream even going still? be here for a few more minutes. This is your last chance. I'll ask one last time if I missed it. Could have sworn one time you said you wanted to make a video on why AGIs can't escape obscurity or something along those lines. Kind of, but I kind of addressed those points here already. It's more about the fact that racing itself is a bit of a side genre. It's also because, like, cars. People aren't driving cars willingly anymore. Cars have become duller. They've become duller and they've become a threat. There's a lot of young people who just, if they get an opportunity, I just know a lot of young people who just won't drive. They're capable of it. They could learn, but they just won't do it. I don't know exactly why. I think they're just scared. I think the current generation, even late millennials to Zoomers, they're very neurotic. We're a very neurotic generation, and we're also growing up with the roads being much crazier than they probably used to be. In my home country, the roads are not that crazy, although they're becoming crazier with the more SUVs and trucks on the road, but it's much worse driving a car right now. You can't just have a smaller car. I mean, you can. You're probably just as safe in those than you are in an SUV, but people think they're safer in an SUV, so people go in SUVs, but SUVs are kind of dull. I think even if you watch some of Top Gear, the British TV show, they talk about how modern cars are kind of dying. And I think this is also one of the reasons why racing games are just dying. Because modern cars are dying. Right, like we haven't figured out how to, like we're still in this maybe transitory phase. I'm not sure if we're gonna go electric. I think the future is hydrogen, because I'm not sure if batteries are gonna get all that in there. We forget about hydrogen fuel cells quite a lot. I don't know why. You can also use hydrogen as combustion. People forget fossil fuels are exclusive to Earth. They don't exist anywhere else in space, but hydrogen is it's everywhere. Oxygen too. It's a lot of oxygen. I mean, there's a lot of water out there. There's plenty of water on Mars. Mostly underground, but there is. And you can use oxygen and hydrogen as a combustion engine. Hydrogen probably has an extreme fuel density, but they don't usually do that. They use fuel cells instead. But a combustion engine is technically a lot more primitive. So it could be made with just steel. So this makes me think that's like, if we ran out of fossil fuels, we'd probably use ethanol, but then there's also hydrogen as a good substitute, because it has an energy density much greater than a battery, I believe. So I don't know. Cars are in a weird state right now, and young people are not. You probably see a lot less young people who has a poster of a car in the background. They probably have an anime girl in there instead. And that's fine. I have a few anime figurines myself, but I also have a few car models. Because I do like cars, but then again, I grew up in the 90s. I saw 9/11 on TV. Nuclear cars, no. That ain't happening. Unless you want your car to be heavy as fuck with all that lead shielding you'll need. But a hydrogen turbine might be a good idea. Gas turbine vehicles do exist, have existed. Why does the game cap its speed at 3,000? Because it's simple. After that point, the game's chances that the vehicle will clip through the wall increase exponentially. The more you go over the 3,000, the more the physics just start to not break down. They don't break down. It's just a collision. The vehicle can go at any speed and it'll be just fine. But they will break down. The collisions will start breaking down above that speed. So I just can't have that. I can't have the vehicle go faster than that. It is an arbitrary point because the reality is about games and speed is that once you reach a certain speed in a game, you can imagine the character as moving frame per frame per frame, like one frame of here, one frame here, one frame here, one frame here. You will eventually you'll get to the point where their hitbox, well, their speed is per frame is larger than their hitbox, which means the chance of them clipping through a wall becomes greater than zero. And finding that point is difficult, but usually it's kind of arbitrary. Like at 3000, the character is already probably past the point where its hitbox is greater than its speed. But nonetheless, I still let it go a little bit farther, just because you're rarely at that speed, and the chance of you actually kept clipping through the wall is small at that point. But the higher I make the speed, the higher the chances are that the vehicle will clip through. I'm 25 and still a driver's license. Yeah, that's just becoming more of a thing. Mother cars are kind of shite, not gonna lie. Depends on which car. I still think CVTs are fine. They just need to be used better. Let's see. So regarding Spark 3, has Flint died before the assimilation happened? Was something left up to interpretation? He was assimilated like everyone else. Pretty sure. Did I not make that clear? Oh, Great Friday. I think so. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm not a fan of cars that clog traffic, especially those with single people. That's the thing, though. They could be smaller, right? If the cars are smaller, there's less traffic. You know, cars can be so much smaller, especially because people know you're taking single people. Like traffic could be fixed by having smaller cars, smaller roads, with more pedestrian lanes, and it would probably make driving more fun. It'd be better for cars. Can I take Wolfman to the prom? Sure. I don't mean single in a relationship, but I mean the cars just have one person inside. Exactly. But cars can be made smaller, as I said. A lot of sports cars actually only have 2 seats, and they're actually much smaller than regular cars. And they're a lot more fun to drive too, so. It's like, yeah, you can have smaller cars. There's the famous Japanese K cars, which are serviceable. You know, the people don't like the smart car, but it's probably not that bad. I kinda wanna buy one. I have the funds to buy one. I should buy one eventually, just for the fuck of it. They're not very expensive over here, especially since they're getting old now. They don't make them anymore, so it's all used. Okay, stupid question. Has Spark walks in the burger? No, okay, stupid question. Then I'll leave it as this. When will you end? I must shower and sleep. Go to sleep. 5 in the morning in my place. It is midnight over here. So, regarding the burger job, it wasn't actually supposed to be like an actual burger flipping job. The idea behind it was that it was supposed to be customer service. There was a planned minigame attached to it, where essentially you would have to deal with customers, and if you answered the question correctly, you would get like a better pay at the end. It was that simple. I didn't go through with it, but Yeah, because I mean, it would have been more content to work on. The burger place itself was fully modeled. It was meant to be a playable space in the game. It eventually, I ended up reusing it as the meeting place that the characters use in the game. It wasn't abandoned. It was actually fully functional. Uh, but the burger place that they meet in the story, that was supposed to be the place Shell worked at. But yeah, essentially, Shell is just handling people who get their orders wrong. But the burgers are made by robots. It's like an automated burger machine. But there's like a guy who works in there who, like if the order is wrong or maybe they want a refund or something like that, there's a guy for it. I love trains. I want you to work for the rail industry. Why? Principal was their competition, my dream drawback. I think people are missing the forest for the trees when it comes to trains. They occupy a shit ton of space. You need a rail yard, a bunch of maintenance. You have to pay for it every day. Trains are not the solution to urbanization. I think the solution to urbanization is smaller cars, smaller roads, goddamn roundabouts, and that's all. Well, also the mixed zoning for commercial. I mean, most of the times the person is going out, they're going out to work or they're going out to a grocery store. So offices, especially just normal offices, and just people working on computers and stuff like that, and grocery stores should probably exist in the same zoning region, so they could be walkable towards it and whatnot, and the roads should be smaller, which reduces speed, which also reduces traffic because they become less appealing to go into. Cars should be smaller, bigger cars should be taxed more. People should be incentivized to go with smaller, snappier cars or funner to drive, more fuel economic. But nonetheless, I still think that cars are the answer. It's just what we have now, but more optimized. And not building this entire massive infrastructure of trains. Trains are, I think they're better for long connections between cities. But to go from empty space to empty space, kind of like an alternative to airplanes, since trains can be electrically powered via just a line going overhead. It would probably introduce little stops in the way, and because there are power lines going through the train, that might even bring power to places that are in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. But trains require a lot of space. Just a shit ton of space. They're fucking massive. And anyone would know this if they've played a game like City Skylines. Because it's actually really hard to integrate a train into a city. The sheer amount of people's houses you would have to demolish to integrate that in there. It means a lot of people would have to give up their homes. It's kind of crazy to think about. But with, like, let's say something like mixed zoning, it's like, well, maybe someone could buy someone's property and then transform that whole property into a small little grocery store that is in walking distance from a bunch of people's houses. So that's the thing. And I am someone who lived, that's when I lived in Sao Paulo for college. That's how it was. I walked to a grocery store every day to buy food. Like, that was the thing. You could have trains that go through building in China. Yeah, but I don't want to live in those buildings, right? You're gonna live in the building where the train goes through it? Those motherfucking things, they're so loud. But you know what's not that loud? Small cars. Small cars with a tiny little engine, tiny little tires. Like we're in Subway. Sure, Subway is like it's like a late game thing. Subway is when a city can afford it. So subways are better when a city has sprawled really far and it's an extremely high population density, which isn't the case for the United States. Like what I see in the United States, it's like you have this massive road infrastructure. If you're running smaller cars, the roads would need less maintenance because it's the vehicles that make wear on the road because they're going through it all the time. If the cars are smaller, there'll be less wear on the road. Be nice too if there was a dedicated truck lane for big rigs. It's one of the reasons I do like trains as a long connection because they can carry cargo, a lot more cargo than trucks. And small cars, bicycles. I fucking hate bicycles. I fucking hate cyclists. Legs are less loud than cars. Yeah, but people are pretty loud. Especially when there are two of them talking to each other. You don't hear someone talking inside of a car usually. Sometimes a car is less loud than a person, I'll tell you that. Scooters are awesome, but they're so loud for like no reason. I have one. I have a highway certified scooter where you can take it on the highway at like 60 miles. It's just really loud for like no fucking reason. I don't know why they're so loud. I hate cyclists. They get in the way. They get in the fucking way every time. They think they're cars. They drive like cars. There's no rear view mirrors. They can't see you behind them. And it's like they're putting themselves in unnecessary danger in front of you. I just hate cyclists, man. Like, fuck. I don't think bicycles are the answer, man. No, I'm not like, which is why I'm all for an expanded sidewalk. But it's like, yeah, you can expand the sidewalk. You can add a bicycle lane. You think the cyclist is gonna go on it? Like, no, they're gonna go on the road because they think they're the fucking king of the damn road. Cyclists should be getting fined for going into places. If there's a cycling lane and you're on the road, oh my god. I love brake checking trucks on the highway. No! What is up with brake checking? It's fucking I will end that sentence there. Do not brake check. Anyways, we're going on a tangent right now. This isn't about XF anymore, but it is tangentially related. It's funny because let me show this. Speaking of like bicycle lanes and stuff like that, it's a little detail in XF. Look at this. So this is the thing about the highways in XF. There's a bike lane. There's a bike lane. And also a motorcycle only lane. If I can fucking stop. The reverse always triggers. It's hard to stop in a game like this. There's a motorcycle lane and there's a bike lane. And the roads are extremely wide. Yeah, but... So this is like what a road would be for a hoverjet, right? But the reason why there's a marker in the middle is because this area over here is for normal cars. That's like a thing. Like hoverjets are twice as wide as cars, so they need twice as wide as lanes. Granted, they're also extremely fast. And they would not go this fast in the game. There are speed limit signs. I don't know if I put any on this track. but I think the limit is something like 220 kilometers an hour. And it also has the miles beneath it as well. I don't know, I don't think I put any on this track. It's funny too, because this highway, I think it continues above this point. I'm not really sure. No, I don't think this one actually does continue. This is supposed to be like... oh no, it does! Look at that. Yeah, it's supposed to be a racetrack built on a regular highway, and it's like taken... It's like demolished. Not demolished, but like... Those pieces are taken away after it gets made by specific vehicles. If you go to... in these tracks over here. Let's go to short twist, see if we can see them. It's a neat background detail. It's okay to show off background detail. I'm not sure if they're visible. They're really hard to see. I don't know if they're even visible in this track specifically. Let me check. Oh, there it is. Oh, the camera gets super wacky when you're like this. You see that thing over there? It's super hard to see. It looks like it's floating on a platform in the middle of it. You can't even see the supports that hold it. It's probably easier to see if I just go in daytime. It's regular proving grounds. Yeah, I should have done this to begin with. But you can see that they're like vehicles that move track pieces around, and you can even see the track pieces underneath them. I find a good spot to actually see them. Damn. None around this part. But basically those tracks are like, that's pieces put together. Yeah, there's one right over there. You can just barely see it. Right over the UI. It's like a crane, like a flying crane with a magnetic thing underneath. And it carries just track pieces, and they build those tracks. And that's how they do it around the Nomad. Around this whole ass fucking thing. Oh yeah. I did not fix this. Oh well. Yeah. But I think that's all for today, folks. I am gonna get going. Hope the game does well and people play it. See you guys whenever I do one of these again. Probably in a few